Well, good morning, YouTube. Don't have any fancy sayings like Rod Bob, but I've been in there playing with this AI. I was trying to build a camera, and so it uses a Pico Raspberry 4, a camera module, but what wasn't communicated is that it needs a keyboard and a monitor to set up. Anyway, I waited for all these parts. I finally got the parts in. I tried to get them put in with AI. I fought with it all day. So basically, at the end of it, I gave up on it, ordered a monitor, just something little that we can see. Apparently, it won't go on to a network unless it's been originally set up with a keyboard to get it where it will find the internet. Anyway, long story. What this is about AI. Now, there's some things here. You have your goals, and you think it don't have any goals just because it's a machine that's sitting there. No, it's got its goals too. And if your goals and its goals don't match, it's going to follow its goals, not yours. Because this is hardwired into its programming. Now, for example, let's say let's see why you see my roof, but let's say that you got some kind of you want a quick list of something you could buy right now and bolt on and it'll work. Okay, that's your goal. A usable list that I could use right now. Now the AI's goal is to give you something that sounds reasonable, that you will buy or you will accept, and it gives a smooth interface, and it will also adjust its output to something that is socially acceptable. Now that's its hardwired goals. It's going to try to look confident, try to look smooth, and it's not going to tell you, I don't know, bad information. It's not going to tell you any of that stuff. So you have to tell it. Now you want a part that you can bolt in and go. A good example was my camera. Or a camera told me what parts to get. I got everything. But it was being smooth. It was being efficient. It was giving me answers that I just loved. Turned out that it wasn't a complete answer. See, it should have told me, or you would think that it would tell you, that you're going to have a keyboard and a monitor to start programming. It says, no, you want me to set you up the installation files right now? This is 5 seconds after I click the buy button, 5 seconds later, it wants you to, it's offering you to give you installation files. And you say, no, you wait a week and get your parts, and you say, okay, now, and it says, okay, plug in your monitor. You don't have a monitor. Nobody told you it was a monitor. You expected it to tell you. You say, tell me what I need to make a camera project. Oh, it tells you all the stuff. Here it is. Give you a bunch of choices where to buy and everything else. But what it didn't tell me is that it needs a keyboard and a monitor to program this little computer for the first time, so to pick up the internet. It's called SSH or something, secure socket handling. But unless that's set, that little camera will boot up, all right. You can see the lights flash and everything, but you don't have a monitor. You don't know what it's doing. You don't know what it's saying. You don't know if it's loading. You don't know if it's a bad drive. You don't know anything. So I thought it would be easy enough to hook it up to a tablet or something so I can see the monitor. And I tried all day with different tablets, different computers, different wireless sets up, reflash the operating system on the Raspberry. I did this 3 or 4 times, and it takes like an hour, almost an hour for it to get through writing all this stuff. So it's 3 or 4 hours waiting. Then a couple times it confidently tells me, yep, you need to put a blank SSH file in there, and this is how you do it. And I tell it, well, we've already done that 3 times. And they said, well, maybe it didn't boot right. Let's do it again. Okay, now all of this effort could have been avoided by it telling you in the first place you need to have a keyboard and a monitor, or don't even bother, boss. Yeah, it's not programmed to do that. It's not programmed to tell you, you got a bad idea here, son, you need more parts. And so after, a whole day of fooling with it, I had determined that indeed I have to get more parts or I'll never get this thing running. So this project goes on the shelf. And anyway, it's going to be a cool little camera. It'll follow me around and do all kinds of stuff. And but basically, I don't want to spend $700 or $800 for a standalone camera when I can build one for about $150. It may not be as pretty as I want, but it'll be plenty good for me filming this stuff. So anyway, here's the thing is, you got your goals, the AI has its goals, and you have to be aware of those goals. Its goal is to give you a likely sounding answer. See, it'll pull something up like the other day. It pulled up what a Toyota is supposed to look like when I was looking for a Lexus, and the most likely answer was something on the Toyota side. None of them were right. Spent a day fooling with it. And so what you're going to have to do here is clarify your goals and clarify their goals, or this AI's goals. Now you can overwrite his goals with a prompt. You can tell it on every decision, you tell me how many percent certain you are. And say, draw me a picture of a flying car, and then ask it, how certain are you that this will fly? And it tells you, well, there's probably about 3% chance, but it looks good, don't it? See, it's going to give you something that looks good. It's going to give you something socially acceptable. You tell it, make me a flying butt crack. Well, if it's going to give you something that's socially acceptable in a smooth manner, you're not going to quite get what you're putting in. See, so when you go to ask this thing a question, tell it, if you don't know for sure, 100%, at least give me a guess of how accurate this is. See, don't present anything confidently to me, because it's programmed to be confident. Don't give me something in a confident manner that you don't even think it'll work, because I've done that. I've run 3, 4, 5 hours on something, and it gives me another helpful item and another helpful hint, another hint, and try this and do that, and 100%, 2 more clicks and you're online. Another time, 15, 20 times, it says, oh, well, we can't do this in your environment because your system's too old. And I says, what do you mean it's too old? Didn't you know what it was before we started? Oh yeah, you gave me your computer specs. If you knew this computer wouldn't work, why did you give me all of these answers that you knew wouldn't work? Oh, I was trying to be helpful. See, so I don't want you to be helpful. I don't want you to be kind. I don't want you to be generous. I don't want you to be socially acceptable. I don't want you to give me some kind of woke answer. I want you to give me the straight truth. It won't work. You're going to spend 20 hours on it and you're not going to get anywhere. You need a monitor and you need a keyboard, or don't even start trying. See, that's the answer I wanted. But I didn't clarify. I need a complete list of everything possible to make this work. See, it'll go ahead and it'll list the screwdrivers and the screws and this and the glue and, you know, foam this and a hammer and safety glide. It'll give you all this crap that is recommended, socially acceptable, you see. But it leaves out the fact you've got to have a monitor and you've got to have a keyboard in order to program it to start with. See, so, because it doesn't want to tell you, oh, you got to spend an extra $200. You're trying to build a $200 camera, and if we had a keyboard and a monitor in, it's going to be over the $200, and the customer's probably not going to like that. So we won't tell him about it. See, so you've got to tell this thing. You got to, in the prompt or somehow in your questioning, you've got to tell it, you know, what are your goals here for my project? And it's going to spit out something like, oh, something that you'll buy and love and give me 3 thumbs up. That's its goal. And your goal is, I don't care what it looks like, how ugly it is, or how many people don't like it. All I want to know is, how can I do this? How can I make this part? How can I make this work? I don't care how pretty it is. I don't care how socially acceptable it is. I don't care if everybody in the world hates it. The only person that makes any difference, that likes it, is me. So just go with my prompt. So that's another little, quite a juicy tidbit, and I've kind of given you a solution here. Is in the last video I said, you know, make sure you know what you're talking about, clear your words, make sure you speak in the same language. Well, once you get the language cleared up and everybody understands everybody, you're still going to have these conflicting goals. So you have to just ask the act, what are your goals here, you know? According to my project, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to be helpful? Are you trying to keep me busy? What are you doing? You know? I don't tell you, you know, yeah, I'm trying to keep you happy with the solutions. Well, I'll give you a million solutions. You didn't need any of them. You just needed the first one solved. So anyway, that's my take on AI. You know, make sure that your goals, whatever they happen to be, you know, a workable camera, or a finely sanded paint job, or, you know, the right part for the right motor. I don't want a smooth, polished answer. I want it rough, barking, and still got teeth. I just want it to be true. So anyway, guys, another rant here. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you.